This year's Pokemon Video Game World Championship can be summarized by a very simple sentence. A complete fucking mess. With a record-breaking amount of players being disqualified for using jammed Pokemon. After a lot of back and forth, I've decided to actually make this video to give my 2 cents on the matter and overall opinion of the current situation. Now, I'm not going to sit here and label all of those players who were disqualified as cheaters while I cry tears of joy of seeing them being disqualified in my creepy uncle's basement. But I am going to talk about this in a way that I personally see as logical. But before I get into it, I've seen a lot of tweets of people asking what a gent Pokemon actually is. Put simply, a gent Pokemon is a Pokemon that has been created in a third-party software such as PKHex, to give the Pokemon specific stats that the player wants, such as a 0 attack IV Goldengo, or a 0 speed IV Ursaluna, or a 6 IV Landorus. In short, a Pokemon that was not caught or obtained in the game naturally or legitimately. The Pokemon itself works as a regular Pokemon, with no illegal moves, abilities, or item. The Pokemon itself appears to be simply normal. There are a number of reasons why a player decides to do this, ranging from time save to accessibility. Regardless, at the World Championship in Japan just a few days ago, players were being disqualified left, right, and center for using these Pokemon. Now, me personally, I do not have a personal problem with genning Pokemon. For me, the topic of genning Pokemon is something that I have had an understanding for. I get why people do it, and since it was widespread for the majority of players since 2013 with the release of X and Y, it's been around for such a long time that I personally don't really care about it. However, and this is something that could possibly get me in a lot of heat, I do agree with the decision to disqualify these players, and here's why. Based on what I just said, you might think that I disagree with them being disqualified. However, it is against the rules. The official rules of VGC states that the use of external devices to modify Pokemon is expressively forbidden. So here's the bottom line. Do I think things such as accessibility is a problem? Yes, I do. However, the rule states that these Pokemon go against the rules of the game. With that being said, it doesn't matter if you bring these Pokemon to regionals, nationals, or in this case the World Championship. Just because the rule has never truly been enforced does not mean that the rule doesn't exist. When you bring these Pokemon to an official tournament, that is a risk you decide to take. Now, of course, you can be upset with being disqualified. You can blame the system, but with it being against the official rules, the Pokemon Company has every right to enforce the rule however they see fit. And the players should know the rules, and you should therefore also know the risk of potentially being caught breaking them. I am in full support of creating a system that makes the competitive games not only available but convenient for the players. I absolutely do. But not only has the rule been there for a very long time, and as a player you should know that the rule exists. To then complain when the rule is inevitably enforced, well, the consequences lies with one person and one person only. The person breaking the rules. I've seen a lot of complaints about how it's bad that Pokemon themselves started enforcing this rule now at the World Championship. But ultimately, it doesn't matter. Sure, it will be more impactful and have a heavier reaction when it's enforced during the biggest Pokemon event of the year. But the complaints would still be piling up if this was happening in the regionals as well. I again do not have a personal problem with genning, but I also do not have a problem when people who runs the events enforce the rules that they themselves have created, especially when the rules are public. However, something that I do not agree with from Pokemon's side is how they went ahead with the disqualifications, with several players being disqualified well into the tournament. If any teams were found to be breaking the rules, they have the full right to disqualify the player, yes. But to disqualify someone after they've played multiple matches is wrong, and they should have been disqualified before, and not have it dropped on them like a bombshell. All in all, yes, there are problems within the VGC, whether it's because of VGC itself or the players' decisions. Whether you knew you had gent Pokemon and was disqualified, or if you didn't know if they were gent or not, that's a risk the player decides to take. And to give Pokemon full backlash for this and basically blame them for enforcing a rule that they have created is wrong, in my opinion.